Yo, 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 what up, my dudes? We got us a track review for 2024 RF Denver on MX Simulator, aka what Indianapolis should have been. Okay. Layout is literally identical. I'm talking to a Turley tea sipping tea identical. This gameplay right here is actually the last session of my pro qualifying for this race as well. So if you see me crashing and, you know, just kind of messing around before I go across the finish line, that's why. So, yeah, I thought it was important to come in here and talk about this track. By the way, we did make it to the main event. Third main event in a row, so we're starting to really click those off pretty consistent. Qualified 6th place for this race, which, you know, up until 2024, I'd never even qualified in the top 10, and I qualified 5th for Nashville, and then 6th. 6. You don't want to run through Supercross 6 with your woes. So, qualified 6th for this one, so we're definitely stepping up here a little bit, you know what I'm saying? But, yeah, this track, though, I could tell as soon as I got on it, it's like, it has all of the things that their 2024 Indianapolis really should have had. Like, as far as scaling on the jumps, bigger rhythms. Like, this whole entire area, like this rhythm right here and the rhythm before it are almost identical to their Indianapolis track. It's just everything on this track actually has that pro level peak and size to it. The whoops are a little bit different on this one. They're kind of I guess you'd say smaller, but you hit them like faster. It has that same kind of challenging, like really sharp flat corner after yeah, this is some some quality shit right here, boy. Launch it into the finish, Spency boy. But yeah, I had that really flat corner after the whoops. Same kind of like sand section-y area. I feel like this sand section there you go, sack-a-doo, Spency boy. This sand section seemed like it had a lot more like skill gap potential to me than the one on their Indianapolis. Really, this whole track to me. See how right there you saw my bike kind of like, you know, kind of did a little bit of that front end too high, like I bounced up off the jump face. Well, if you go to their 2024 Indianapolis track and you go off of that same exact jump going on that on-off tabletop, that would literally never happen. Like, it didn't matter how you were leaning. It didn't matter what the hell you was doing. You know, you could be Ronnie Macking that shit off the jump face. It would not cause the bike to get out of shape, right? And that's where it's critical to get the jump peak, specifically when you're making pro-level tracks in this game that are meant to be pro-level, okay? That's where it becomes so critical to have that sort of pitch and angle to those jump faces where it challenges you to the point, right? And even the Supercross triple's a little more peaked out than their Indy track. And this track has all, like, getting this triple onto this table right here is a lot bigger than the Indianapolis one. This one's got that quad in the middle that's pretty big, and then it's like really challenging to time that section right there. Actually hit a 57.4 like shortly after quali, which I don't even know where that would have put me in quali, but yeah, we're certainly going fast enough now again in this game. I mean, once you start quallying in that top 5, 6, 7, you know, in real life, it literally ruts the whoops down, makes multiple ruts and cups going through it. This is basically not making any ruts going through the whoops at all because it can't really make ruts in a straight line. It's never been able to do that. Spency boy hitting you with them facts, dog. But now, instead of it wearing them down, it's just building them up, and it feels weird as shit. It's hard to explain it if you didn't race in this main event, right? But With the 250 main events, like the 15 lap style main events, I feel like the Erode level is set pretty much perfect for something like that. But when you get to the 450 mains, it's not been that way on all the tracks. Like, I didn't think it was that bad on like Glendale, for instance. But boy, there's been some of these tracks, it's certainly crossed that line into more like, what the fuck is this even doing with the Erode system once you get to lap, 18, 19, 20, more so than it is like, oh yeah, that's more gnarly and more realistic, hardcore. You see what I'm saying? There's just a difference between those two things. But we did end up running a 57.6. Had a nice little line going outside mid-rut in the sand. But overall, yeah, this is just what their Indianapolis track should have been right here. This one's got more of that jump skill gap. Doesn't have quite as much pre-made as what they had on the last few different tracks they had. I mean, they do have some in the sand, which they normally do have. But, yeah, this triple right here was awesome. This triple right here on this tabletop specifically, that's how you make a jump into a rhythm that's pro level right there. You can't be no, amateur boy on a 250 and expect to rail this outside and jump all the way to that tabletop every lap. Like, it just ain't gonna happen, big dog. This was also really skill gapped right here. This triple to the inside, like really hard to get right on that and then get on the gas. That was another spot I felt the Erode did like a really weird thing in the main event right here specifically. It's like because everybody's turning right there, right? But it's on a flat surface, it never really made like one good rut. It made like 7 wannabe, not even really ruts that just felt more weird than they did like good or badass or skill gapped. That's what happens at the Erode system. You get guys going in too many different directions and it's set too high. It can't ever actually make a rut. It just makes more of a, like a, scattery, kind of shitty, janky, just like, I don't even know what you call it, but it just looks like some janky mess of shit of terrain on the track, and kind of makes the track feel slicker in a weird way when it does that too. But overall, this track was decent, and I felt like quite a few of their tracks this year have been pretty damn good. Like, they really have, bro. This may shock some of you guys that think I'm just some RF hater boy, but I'm telling you, bro, 2024, they hadn't been playing around, and that's almost like, it's almost like a disgrace to the track design when you get the Erode level too high for the 450 main event, because you almost strip away what made your track so good to begin with if you just turn everything into janky, weird, spliced terrain, ruts. You know what I'm saying? Whoo, Spency boy on that turkey team bike, boy. That Galaxy shit look hot, boy. The only thing that would have been better about this is if this bike would have literally came out in 2013. That would have been something. But overall, yeah, track's sick. I mean, can't really complain too much about them when they have the skill gap and the pro level jump size, and this one's got that. It's got that overall normal feeling to it. They have also had quite a few this year that have not had that, like Arlington. What the fuck was that RF? I don't know. Amateur Southwick shit. But then their Indianapolis track, which is the same layout as this, but literally a amateur version of this track. If you want to see the difference, this is a good thing for some of y'all boys to do. If you want to see the difference in an amateur and a pro level Supercross track in this game, go ride on 2024 Indianapolis and then go ride on 2024 Denver, okay? Those two things minus the whoops, because Indy had some like really big ass whoops randomly, but the rest of the track was like easy as shit. But this track is more so overall that pro level skill gap separate. You can like separate yourself in the sand section over jumping into that. You know, some of these areas you can kind of over jump, scrub the bike a little bit. You can definitely make up time everywhere in a sense on this track. Whereas like that Indy track felt like you're only really making up time like in the whoops in the corner after, right? So, but this has just got that size to it. This quad right here is real skill gapped, and even the triple after it's skill gapped. Been able to hit the inside. This whole area right here kind of got more of that high speed skill gap to it. That always creates a little bit of skill gap. I noticed they had that on their like Birmingham, Seattle had some of that more high speed. Nashville had a little bit of it. This track did have this inside pre-made rut right here, which created a little bit of skill gap. So yeah, this track, it's got it. Whatever that is, it's got it. Just like Glendale had, just like A2 had, just like Seattle had, just like Nashville had. It's got it, right? This is fitting into that what I felt like all of the 2024 tracks should have been more like. You know, they've randomly thrown in a few tracks this year. By a few, I mean like probably 5 or 6 that were just like weirdly smaller scaling, weirdly felt like it was from one of the previous 2 or 3 years of RF tracks in the game. Felt like some sandy, amateur, easy, weird, simple shit, you know. They've definitely had a handful of those tracks this year, but they've also had quite a few of the good, bigger, scaling, difficult, you know, whoop, pre-made, you know, those style of tracks too. They've kind of had a little bit of both, but I think overall they're working back to that better track design. Finally, it's felt like it's taken them about 6 or 9 years. Oh wait, it has literally taken them 6 or 9 years. Switzy Boy signing out, big dogs.